Hey YouTube, what's going on? Chris here. I want to bring you all an update on Bitcoin and Litecoin. What we're going to be doing here is looking at them on the 1 week chart. So it's important that we step back. A lot of times, guys, I even like to start on the month chart sometimes. So we'll go from the month to the week to the day, then we can get into the 12, the 4 hour. What I really want to do is just take a look at Bitcoin here on this 1 week chart and kind of see what's going on. We really need to step back. We're at some critical areas for Bitcoin right now, guys. So we're going to dig into all this. We'll follow that up with Litecoin right afterwards, guys. And if you like these videos, let me know down low. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and also let me know what you think, guys. I know there's been a lot of controversy between, is this a descending triangle that we're forming, or is this a symmetrical triangle? It can be drawn either way right now. But what you really want to pay attention to is whether this is going to be continuation of the upside, or if this is that major reversal that we're looking at here that could potentially start taking us down to much lower levels. So that's something we're going to want to pay attention to, guys. And I'm going to do the best I can to give you my thoughts on it as we go into this, okay? So guys, what I'm looking at first, what I wanted to pay attention to as we're looking at this on the 1 week chart. So what's really important for me, if you take this Fibonacci here, and what we're going to do, we're going to look at the reaction of this. So this entire move down here was the bear market. So what we're going to do is go from our swing high down to our swing low, and what you can see is we actually wicked up to that golden area, that 0.618. And what happened now, guys, we actually went back down and we found support off this 0.382. So if you're looking at this more so in an uptrend and you're measuring, a lot of times what you'll see is, say you take it from the bottom here to the top, you'll see a retracement to that 0.618, and then a lot of times you'll actually bounce back up to the 0.382. So what we're having is basically the reverse of this right now. So what we're looking to see is if we can hold that 0.382 area as support. Now, what I wanted to point out to you as well, so we're going to look at our fib the other way as well. So what we're going to look at is from our swing low up to our swing high. And what I wanted to point out here, guys, is that same deal. We're sitting on this 0.382. And the fact that we are still holding that is significant because, guys, if you get a bounce off the 0.236, that's considered basically an extremely bullish trend. If you get a bounce off the 0.382, that's still a pretty bullish trend. And then you start getting down to that 0.5. A lot of times you'll have retracements to that level, then ultimately that 0.618. But the fact is, if we can defend this 0.382, that is still very bullish for us to continue to make the next move up. And what we're looking at to find out here if this is a lot of consolidation and basically some type of flag pattern, a bullish flag pattern, we're going to have a nice breakout of that, or if this is that descending triangle and we potentially could get a break to the downside. Now remember, descending triangles, they still can break to the upside. When we were going through the encyclopedia of chart patterns, what we were looking at is descending triangles break down about 64 to 65% of the time, and then you're looking at about that 35% of the time you can actually break to the upside. So we're trying to determine exactly what this pattern is right now. There's a lot of speculation going around on what it actually is, okay? So we're going to see if this is just continuation or if this was the end of this parabolic move that we've had here, guys, and we're going to start looking at some lower levels. Now, if we are to break to the upside, and what I do like to see here, guys, on the 1 week chart, in orange here, this is our 12-week EMA. In purple, we're going to be looking at our 26 EMA, and then down here in white, we have our 100 EMA, and then in pink or purple there, we have our 50 moving average. So what's significant is if we can close today up above this, that there would show us that we're still up above all these moving averages and the trend is up. And if the trend is up, most likely, guys, we could get a break to that upside, and we need to be ready for it. We need to be ready, obviously, for the upside as well as the downside. Now, what we have seen here, guys, each time when we came down here, we had a nice bullish engulfing candle. We came up into a shooting star candle, and we wicked through that trend line. Then we got pushed back down here, and what we're forming this week is another bullish engulfing candle. We're going to have to see if that's what can finally get us to break out this next week candle that's going to form. I think that's really important for us. And we also want to take a look at volume. Volume is declining right now, and that happens a lot of times in these patterns, you know, in these triangles or these flag patterns. You'll have this nice move up on volume, so volume was increasing throughout this bull run that we are having right here, and now that we're in that consolidation or slight correction, what you're seeing now is the volume tapering off. So what's going to be confirmation for us is if we break to the upside on heavy volume and we can close up above this trend line here. Same to the downside. If we start breaking down and we close down below, maybe we'll call it that 9,425, then we can start looking at some lower levels, guys, to where we maybe even be coming back down to, you know, the $7,500, $8,000 range, some areas like right in here. So that's what we want to look at here for Bitcoin, guys. I also wanted to show you just a few indicators here. So right now our RSI on the 1 week chart for Bitcoin is at 60. So right now we're cruising right now, guys. We are not in that overbought territory. There's definitely still room to run to the upside there. So that's something that you do want to look at. Say we're up at 90 or something, that's going to be a different story. But we're at 60, so there's still plenty of room to move to the upside there if we are to make a break to the upside. The next one I wanted to look at was our stock RSI. With our stock RSI, you can see we're in oversold territory. We're at 4.58 and 6.20, and it's looking like we potentially could have that stochastic cross there. But you always want to wait for confirmation. That's one of the best things that I can tell you is be patient, wait for confirmation. Next here, we'll look at the MACD. And with the MACD now, we had a bearish cross. You can see we had that bearish cross put in right there, and our histogram's actually ticking to the negative. So right now, guys, what we're doing is getting a lot of mixed signals, and that's why I said the breakout of this is going to be so significant. And what you can actually do is work through the time frame. So that's the 1 week. Then we can look at the 1 day. Kind of where we're at here. And what we're trying to do here, we had a double top up here, and now we're trying to set a higher low to see if we can break out of this and set a higher high and get over top of that 10,924. But that's what I like to do. I'll go into the day, then I'll look at the 4 hour. And you can see at the 4 hour here, guys, what we're doing is having a little reaction here. We had a big sell-off right up here around $11,000. So a market mover dumped right there. We came back down, and now we're trying to have a slight little reaction. But we're going to have to get back up above that 26 and that 12 EMA to get that moving to the upside there. And I'm also going to want to pay attention to see if we get this nice little cross of our 50 moving average over top of our 100 moving average. Guys, so that's Bitcoin right now, and that's what I'm looking at. Just really looking at those key areas, seeing if we're going to get up above that $11,000. The next one we're going to look at is Litecoin. And guys, I got to plug in my computer real quick. One moment. All right, so for Litecoin, guys, what you're seeing is a little bit of volume coming back in right now. And we're coming up to a key area. What we're going to do with Litecoin, since we're on the 4 hour, we're actually going to go from the 4 hour and work our way back to the 1 week. Okay, so Litecoin, what we need to do, guys, we need to have a close up above this area right here, and that's going to be $69.34. What you can see is I have an alert here at 71.24. I want to know if on the 4 hour we can break up above this 100 EMA right there. So that's going to be a crucial area for us. You can see the last time we wicked up to it and then we saw rejection, but it's good to see that we did get a higher high than this area right here at that 67.99. So we're really going to keep an eye on that. And what you can do even on the 4 hour, guys, what I like to do, you can draw these trend lines here, and we can take a look at that and make sure that we're still having these higher lows coming in, so that maybe we can get into one of these almost ascending triangles and make a breakout to the upside there. Okay, so that's on the 4 hour. Now what I wanted to do is move out to the 1 day, take a look at it. And on the 1 day, guys, what's significant is I don't have my downtrend line on that we've been looking at for quite a while now. So you could draw that downtrend line. But what I want to pay attention to is a candle close today first up above this 12 EMA. If we can get a close up above that, then we can start tackling these areas up here around that $72 range where that 26 EMA is. But what a lot of people do when they're playing the 12 EMA and the 26 EMA, they're actually waiting for that cross of that 12 over top of that 26. And what you can see is we have not had that yet. We've just been getting pushed to the downside. So you can see when first this 12 crossed down below the 26, Litecoin was at about $125. So that would have been the time to get out, guys. We had a nice trend line break here. If you draw that trend line, we had that break, and then you can see we had the death cross there take place. And then we just got pushed down, and we have not crossed back over yet. So for me, I still want to wait for confirmation, even though we ended up setting a higher low here. So that was a good thing. So we came up, we set a lower high, we set a higher low, and now we have to come up and see if we can set that higher high, guys. But right now, you got to pay attention and factor in that the trend still is down for Litecoin. So you want to be careful right now. You know, if you're looking for a long-term investment, do I think $69 is a cheap price for Litecoin in the long run? I really do, guys. I think it's going to be worth more than that. But there's still maybe better buying opportunities here, and you also want to wait for that confirmation, because as you can see on the 1 day here, even, guys, look at this cross. We had the 50 cross down below that 100 right there, and that was at about $95, and we've just been getting pushed down to the downside there. So what a lot of people will look for is more confirmation in those higher highs and higher lows. So next, let's step out to the 1 week for Litecoin and see what that's looking like. And guys, this is just how you work through the time frames. This is how I like to do it. Remember, I have my alert to the upside at 71.24 and then to the downside at 61.46. I want to know either way if we're going to break up or if we're going to break down. Now, on the 1 week, what I want you to keep in mind is the fact that our 12 EMA now is crossing down underneath our 26 EMA. And guys, the last time our 12 crossed up above our 26 was at $52, and it took us all the way up to 146. So it's significant when these things cross. Okay, you can see that big push that we had there, and now we're actually having that cross to the downside. So we're going to have to see what happens here in the next few days. Okay, but you know, guys, that's what I'm paying attention to. I want to look at these moving averages, and I want to pay attention to the crosses. I want to pay attention to the trend. And right now, another key thing that's happening to us for Litecoin is if we can get this weekly close up above this 50, we really don't want to lose that. You can see last week we closed slightly below it. We had some wick where the bulls were stepping in, but it'd be nice to close back up above that and then try to come up here and tackle this 100-week moving average that's sitting on top of us there. So we're kind of getting wedged between that 50 and the 100, and that's why I said we could have a very large break either to that upside or to that downside, and that's why I have my alerts in right there. Okay, guys, now let's take a look here at some indicators for Litecoin. And now Litecoin, guys, we're going to look at the stock first. And with the stock, we're extremely oversold there. We're at 1.38 and 0.46, so that's the faster moving oscillator there. So we are in oversold territory greatly in that one. Next one we're going to look at is our RSI. With our RSI, we're at 42. We're starting to get a slight hook to the upside there, but we want to pay attention. What we want to do is stay up above 40 on the RSI. When you get below that, sometimes you can get trapped below that, and it's hard to get back up above it. So that's something we do want to keep in mind. And then we will look here, guys, at our channels. Okay, on our channels here, we're at the bottom portion. Okay, but overall, this middle band here on the channels, our 20, is still acting as overhead resistance, and that's all the way up at 104, guys. So right now, we do have to realize that in the short term, the trend is still down, and you want to protect yourself. I know a lot of people like to try to catch falling knives. I've been there before, but you always want to wait for that confirmation, guys. I can't express that enough to you, that we need to wait for that confirmation. Then the last thing I'll show you is our Fibonacci. And with our Fibonacci, we have broken down through that 0.618. Now it's $70, so that is acting as overhead resistance as well, and you do want to factor that in. The next stop would be that 0.786, guys, and that's also with a lot of support area over here, and that's going to be down around that $50. So, you know, we're in this key sticky spot for Litecoin right now, guys, and we just really have to wait and let the market tell us what it's going to do. We never want to chase the market. That's one of the biggest mistakes that you can make, is chasing the market. Let the market come to you. If you miss the move, you miss the move. Wait for the next good opportunity. You never want to chase anything. So, guys, that's what I wanted to bring to you here. Didn't want to keep it too long, but let me know down below what you think with Bitcoin and Litecoin. Are they going to break up or are they going to break down here, guys? There's a lot of stuff happening for us right now in the charts, and we need to pay attention to it. So, want to bring that to you all. Hope you're having a wonderful day. God bless and take care.